Good morning, Hayom Yom, Zayin Tammuz. So in Kabbalah, there is a concept known as Nautz, Tchilasan, Bisofon, which means that the most powerful and intense forces in the universe will always be captured and channeled by the lowest elements. Classic example is that we say God himself, Atzmos, is captured and channeled specifically in this world, in the physical world. It is the lowest world in all of creation, the physical world, which captures and channels and is the place where you can connect with the highest levels of divinity, of godliness with Atzmos himself. And came along the Rebbe Roshal, the fifth Chabad Rebbe, and he said that this principle of Nautz, Tchilasan, Bisofon plays itself out with regards to Chassidus as well. Because on the one hand, Chassidus allows a person to connect with, because Chassidus channels the most intense and powerful spiritual forces in the whole world. And that's why somebody who really studies Chassidus and really connects with Chassidus is able to experience internally really intense things, very powerful things. He's able to have very, very powerful and intense life experiences, which you can only feel specifically with Chassidus. Because Chassidus is channeling very, very intense spiritual energies known as the igulim energies, the circular energies. Because in Kabbalah it says there are circular energies and linear energies. So a circle, and therefore circular energies, have no beginning, they have no end. It just goes on and on. So they represent intense potency, something that's very intense, very powerful. As opposed to linear energies represent energies that are a little bit dulled down, much more limited, much more constricted. And Chassidus channels and therefore allows you to live with circular energies, allows you to feel and experience very intense, very deep things. But, said the Rebbe Rashab, in order to connect with Chassidus, in order to really connect with Chassidus and thereby live with the energies that it's channeling, a person has to be a Masudar, a person has to have Seder in their life. A person has to have routine, consistency, a person has to have their life together. Which that seems very boring, very mundane, very not exciting. It's very not exciting to have a schedule and a routine and consistency. But he said the only way to capture Chassidus, the only way to capture the energies which Chassidus is channeling, the only way to have Tchilasan, the most powerful things, is Bisofon if you have the most mundane, boring life of just consistency and Seder and routine. And just if you take like the Lubavitcher Rebbe, for example, how meticulous he was with his time is mind-blowing. Every minute was calculated. He was the most organized man. And yet, he was living internally the most vibrant life, the most powerful, intense life that any human being has ever lived. And it's especially interesting because generally we think, and generally it's true, I think, that people that have deeper souls, people that are living life a little bit deeper and in a more intense way, like artistic souls or whatever. So generally, the more artistic you are, the more internally intense your life experience is, that generally translates into living a actually more chaotic life, and your life's all over the place, and you're very unreliable and very disorganized. But if you're living the most intense life, the most internally vibrant and intense life, the life that Chassidus allows you to live, that is only possible, ironically, if you have the most structured, boring, consistent life. And that's what the Rebbe Rashab said. And we see this concept in all of the founders of Chassidus. So he says, first of all, the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Chassidic movement. So a lot of people think he was this like hippie kind of guy, and he was all over the place, and he was a lot very inspirational, but a bit of a mess. So he says, absolutely not. The Baal Shem Tov was the most consistent man, the most organized man, the most orderly man. And his successor, the Maggid of Mezrich, so he used to insist and he demanded on good order. He did not like people that were a mess or all over the place or were unreliable. And then his successor, the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe. So first of all, he used to instruct his Chassidim that they needed to live with good order. He made a point of instructing his Chassidim that it's a key part of the Chabad lifestyle and of the Chassidic lifestyle to live a life of good order, an orderly life, an organized life. And more than that, everything the Alter Rebbe produced, from his Maimarim to his letters, to his Nigunim, are very organized, they're very structured, because the Alter Rebbe himself was a very, very organized and structured man, and therefore everything he produced was very organized, very structured. It's not all over the place, it's not a mess. It's not unorganized. And more than that, the Alter Rebbe used to have a lot of Chassidim. They used to live all over the place. And a lot of them would have like one time a year, one holiday, or a certain time of the year that they would come annually to visit the Alter Rebbe. First in the town of Liazhin, and then in later years in the town of Liadi. And the Alter Rebbe did not allow his Chassidim to randomly change their time of year one year. If one year they were really inspired at a certain time during the year and they wanted to just come then, he didn't allow it. You had to stay consistent with your annual date. And unless you got permission from him, special permission, you were not allowed to change that date. And in order to change it, in order to get permission, you needed to give a really, really good reason why you were switching it. He was not into the idea that on the spur of the moment you do something, but then today you do this, but tomorrow you collapse. Everything has to be on a schedule, everything has to be orderly, everything has to be consistent and stay even the whole time. That's the only way to really succeed in life. And more than this, the Alter Rebbe even made a committee, and he appointed his own brother, Rabbi Yehuda Leib, to run the committee. And the committee was tasked with the goal and with the mission of maintaining good order amongst the Chassidim, making sure the Chassidim never got out of hand or too wild or disorderly, to make sure there was always good order amongst the Chassidim. And then he made a second committee led by his own son, the Untitled Rebbe, who was a younger man, and they were tasked with keeping good order amongst the younger Chassidim, the newly married younger Chassidim. So they were tasked with that mission. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.